Hey everyone, I'm your host Asia Walker, where I have a fireside chat with a different influencer every week. Welcome to the podcast Diary of an Influencer. Hi Jasmine, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, it looks like it's about to rain, but all good. We're in. So tell me a bit about yourself and, if you have a blog or a YouTube channel and just a bit more about that.
Okay, so I'm Jasmine. I have a blog. It's called Jazz Write Stuff. It's exactly what it says, really. I write a bunch of stuff. I started it almost 4 years ago now, which is so strange. Feels really weird.
It goes really quickly.
It goes so quickly. I started it in my first year of uni just because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. The only thing I was really confident about was the fact I wanted to write in some way. So I was like, let me write on a blog, see how that goes. And it was kind of something, because I was going through a bit of a bad time mentally. It was something I kind of started so I had something for me where I could put my feelings down. And then it just grew, and it's been really fun. And now it's like this whole little like side business, I guess. So
Yeah.
it's fun. Yeah.
Completely get that. And what sort of topics do you talk about?
I go under like lifestyle, I guess, which is basically like my niched way of saying that I do a bit of everything. I tend to cover. I narrowed it down recently because I've been trying to back in July, I think, I started giving my blog an actual direction.
Yeah.
So I cover food, fashion and beauty, lifestyle on a broader sense, career and writing, travel, and entertainment. I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. It's all under lifestyle, so
Yeah.
that's kind of the way forward, I think. But you also have a podcast as well, so tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, I have a podcast with two of my friends. We started it almost a year ago now. We started it in January, and it's called Baby Got Books. It's where three of us, essentially, we did it because we wanted to read more. So we spend 1 week reading a book. It's a weekly podcast like this one. And then the next week we get drunk and we talk about a topic related to that book. Mainly because we just wanted an excuse to drink together on a regular basis. So.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I mean, I think for myself, I was thinking, lockdown, I'm going to read all these books, and I've probably read about one.
Yeah,
yeah, not great.
I do that all the time. I did English lit at uni, so I was forced into reading so often that I completely abandoned reading in every other sense. And our podcast has been a great accountability thing for me.
Yeah,
it's been really good at forcing myself to read books because I have to.
That's a good thing. And what type of books do you personally like to read?
Personally, I'm a big fan of a YA. They're guilty pleasures for me. Love a YA. What else do I read? See, right now I've basically been reading for our podcast, and we kind of go through different categories and themes and stuff. I'm quite into an adventure. I've been getting into adventure books recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say those are probably my main two categories.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I like young authors as well, because I just think they're easy to read, by the pool or something, and I don't really have to concentrate that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why I like them.
I think I massively read for escapism, so YAs are really great for that. I've also started, now that I'm getting into my 20s and whatnot, I've started getting into basically the adult equivalent of a YA, girls in their 20s, 30s figuring their lives out, those kind of books, just light fluffy things.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all relate to those type of books.
Mm-hmm.
So you got into your content creating because of kind of you were at uni and it was just kind of something else to do during your time at uni. What did your uni friends think about it, or did you kind of keep it to yourself to begin with?
To begin with, I think I sort of kept it to myself. I started it when I came home for Christmas, because I'd just done a term of uni, and at the beginning it was something I told a couple of my friends about. It wasn't ever really a big secret. Honestly, one of the reasons the platform I chose was a blog was because I was unlike I think YouTube, no one really cares enough to hate read a blog. No one's gonna take the time to look up your posts and read them through. So I was like, oh, it's like a good option. The only people that will actually like that I tell about it that will actually read it will be people that like care and want to read it. So it was never really a big thing. And then when I started living with friends, I mean, I lived in halls first year, but like obviously they're quite different to like living in a house with friends. When I started living in a house with friends in second year, and I started getting like PR parcels to the house and stuff, I think that's when it started becoming a bigger thing. And when I started getting invited to events in our uni city and I started like asking friends if they wanted to go with me, that's when it started being like this thing that they actively kept up with, it was cool. It's nice to be able to, especially when you're at uni and you don't really spend as much on like fancy meals and cool products, it's nice to be able to like treat people.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go to uni, so I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what that's like. But I'd definitely say the same thing. I think I started about 7 years ago now, which is 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And when I started, it was a very kind of like new thing. You know, it was kind of like Zoella and Alfie Days and those type of people. So yeah, I think it's definitely come a long way now. It's more common, I would say. I think if you said, oh, I have a blog or a YouTube channel, people are like, oh, okay. But back when I said it, they'd be like, what? What is that? So I think it's definitely come a long way in a good way, but also you've got the bad side of social media and, you know, the negative side and things like that. How do you deal with if you've had any kind of like not nice comments or people who, you know, have taken maybe a blog post in the wrong way or something like that? How have you found that?
I think I've been quite lucky. I haven't really had much of that. I've had the odd comment. I think when I tend to get into like race related things, I have the odd comment from time to time from people that are just like a little bit ignorant, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky. I really have had such little of that I haven't really had to, and I like have quite a good support system outside of my blog that I'm able to like talk it through with friends, sometimes like other blogger friends as well. And I'm really like a kill 'em with kindness kind of person, so I just respond with like something kind and informative, and that's it really.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm exactly the same. I've had maybe like one or two like really, really odd comments that have been like, you know, your eyebrows, who stole your eyebrows, and just really random comments.
That's
but
so weird.
I'm lucky that I've never had anything awful like that. I think also because we're kind of smaller influencers, I think we don't necessarily get that much exposure, which is nice in a way because the people that follow us are, you know, all nice and they follow us because they like us. I think when you get to that kind of bigger stage is when, you know, the trolls start coming in and that type of thing. So I guess it's kind of a catch-22 about growing really, because, you know, you want to grow because you want more people to follow you and, you know, you get more like things like events and things like that, but then at the same time it can also come with, you know, trolls and horrible people like that. So would you like what you're doing at the moment to be a full-time job, or do you like it as a hobby?
I really, really like it as a hobby. I don't think I could do it full time. I always thought I couldn't do it full time because I'm not actually that big a fan of like being my own boss. Like I'm such an organization person and I love a project. Like it's what I do outside of blogging. Like I'm a project manager. Like that's my kind of thing. But I like also being able to like rely on someone else for my main source of income. Like I don't like having to go out and find all the work myself. And it's fun when it's like when I get to work with people and when I get paid through my blog, it's fun knowing that I don't have to rely on that money to live. Like if I don't have a sponsored post for 3 months, it won't massively affect me. I think especially over lockdown, the first lockdown, where I'd lost my job because of COVID, and I was like, well, it's lockdown. I'm not in a rush to find something straight away because like the whole world's gone into a meltdown right now. Maybe for these next few months, I see what doing this full time is like while I'm not doing anything else. I can put all my time into it. And it's not for me. It took all the fun out of it, I think.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you. I think also it's a lot of work. I mean, I do like kind of the bare minimum with my blog and YouTube and stuff. I don't really heavily edit or things like that because I cannot be bothered. I'm quite lazy when it comes to things like that. And even if, you know, there's a week where I just don't want to upload, I don't upload. And I think if it became a full-time job, you'd have that pressure to upload. So I don't know. Yeah, I think maybe it would just take, like you said, the fun away from it. So I'm quite happy doing my day job at the moment, but I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see.
I feel like I'd love to be able to get up to a point. I mean, it's hard because I really like my job at the moment, but like, I feel like I could definitely see myself maybe getting to a point if it did pick up, because like, as you said, it's a lot of hard work and it's really time consuming, and it's good as a hobby right now because like, I can only spend a designated amount of time on it. And if I feel like if I got way bigger, I'd have to spend more time on it.
Yeah.
I think I could get to a point where I kind of worked somewhere else part-time and blogged part-time, but I don't think I could ever do just the blogging full-time.
No. Yeah, I think also I am quite a structured person, but I'm structured because I have a job that's 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So I think I wouldn't be as structured if I didn't.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think I'll probably just say, you know, I can do it tomorrow or the day after, and it would never get done on time. Yeah, so what about your family? How do they know about it? You know, are they active followers and listeners?
Oh yeah, my mum is like my biggest fan. It's amazing.
That's really good.
Yeah, I mean, both my parents are really. I've always been really lucky. They've always, like, from childhood kind of been like, look, I think because I've always naturally had quite a lot of drive with things, they've been really good at encouraging it. And it's always kind of been like, we don't care what you end up doing because we know, like, you'll push for it. Like, as long as you're, like, working towards something, we're not that bothered what it is. And my mum's, I've wanted, like, I've loved writing since I was a kid. I've wanted to be an author since I was, like, 6. So writing's always been a big thing for me, and it's always been a thing, like, my parents have really pushed because they know how much I love it.
Yeah.
And I had, like, a really bad teacher, like, for English A-levels, and that kind of put me off writing and books and all that stuff, and I'd kind of abandoned it all. So I think when I started my blog, my mom got really excited that, like, I was writing again, and it was this thing that I was bringing back. So they've always been incredibly supportive, really. Which I've been lucky with. Yeah,
I mean, I remember I kind of started off not telling anyone. I told, you know, a few friends, but I kind of hid it from all of my family. And I mean, if they stumbled upon it, they stumbled upon it, but I just didn't really say anything.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say. Because I think sometimes people find it a bit weird, you know, just talking to a camera or, you know, to just like random people, really. But then over time, you know, you get these people that you recognize who comment on your post, like, every time that you post, or comment on your video, and they do become like your internet friends, or kind of friends in real life. So it kind of merges into one, like, online and in real life. So
definitely.
Yeah, no, it's definitely come a long way, I think, over the last couple of years. Oh, someone's up. When it comes to posting, how kind of like scheduled are you? Do you schedule weekly posts, or do you do it as and when, or how do you find works best for you?
I've always been a weekly scheduler. I used to, and I don't know how I did it, post 3 times a week. Wow. Which, looking back on, I'm like, what was I doing? And then I kind of always had a schedule in the back of my mind, and I used to be incredibly consistent with it. And then as uni got harder, I'd go like weeks and without, but there was always kind of something there. And then as I started full-time work, that definitely wasn't the case. I say that I post weekly now, and I've actually been really good at it, I think, for the last like 3 or 4 weeks. I've definitely gotten back into a routine now, and I've scheduled a few weeks worth, but definitely a lot less inconsistent now. I think I posted once, maybe twice during the first lockdown we had.
I think with the first lockdown, because it was so new and so different, people were just trying to figure out their routine and, you know, what to do, really. I know I didn't post as much in the first lockdown as I have done the second lockdown, but even at the moment I'm not really posting as regular as I should be. But I think at the moment, because I'm trying to play catch up with blog posts, I've got the content there, which is good. But I think afterwards, because obviously we're not going out and doing as much stuff, you have to think of ideas of what to post.
I think that was my thing as well. I'd gotten to the stage where a lot of the stuff I did with my blog was like event recaps and like food, like restaurant reviews and places you should visit, and that had kind of become my like niche in the content that I'd produce website wise. And so when everything locked down, like first time especially, I'd just come back from New York and I was like, I have so much travel content ready to go, I have all these ideas, and then suddenly nobody could travel and nobody was leaving their house, and I was like, is there any point? Like, what do I do now?
Yeah. And how was New York? I mean, I went to New York 5 years ago now, but I went over Christmas, and you know it's supposed to snow and be nice, and it didn't snow. It was Christmas on record, so I was a bit disappointed about that.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
I had an amazing time. I loved it. I've wanted to go to New York. Like it's one of my bucket list places because I'm really into theatre, and obviously they've got Broadway out there. And me and my friends said we were going to do a big trip this summer, and we were all going to save up for it. And I had been saving, but then they had a Black Friday fright sale, and me and one of my friends were like, should we just go? And we ended up booking it like on a whim. We went in February. Everyone said it was going to be freezing. I bought thermals. It was basically just like a cold London. Like it didn't feel any colder. But it was magical. We'd planned everything. We saw so many shows. I had like the best time. I thought I was going to be disappointed. Like, you know, when you've amped somewhere up so much.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to be at least a little bit disappointed, but I had an amazing time. I was so, so grateful.
No, it was great. I mean, I really enjoyed it as well. We were only there for like 3 days because it was a stopover, so we didn't really get to see much. So it's definitely on my list of places to revisit. What broad shows did you see?
What did I see? I saw Hadestown, which is amazing. To be fair, everything we saw was amazing. I saw Mean Girls the musical, which is just a laugh, really fun. Yeah. Dear Evan Hansen, which I'd seen in London actually, but Jordan Fisher was in the Broadway one at the time, which is actually why we booked the trip, because he's fantastic. So I saw Dear Evan Hansen again. I saw, what were the other two? We saw 5 shows in 5 days. It was amazing.
That's full on.
Oh, it was. We basically planned every single day around when we could see a show. We booked all the shows in advance, so it was like showing up. Oh, I saw Beetlejuice, which was so much fun.
Yeah.
There was one more. What else did I see? Moulin Rouge.
Oh,
yes.
Film.
Oh yeah, I'd never seen the film. I still have never seen the film actually.
Film. But I think in the theatre, it'll be interesting to see what you think of the film.
Yeah, I really want to see the film, like especially after I saw it, because I'd wanted to see the film anyway. It's one of those things I'm really convinced I would like, but it's just never kind of been available. Like I've never seen it on a streaming platform. Right. It's very rarely on TV.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I really want to watch it. And then when I found out I was seeing it on Broadway, I was like, it's fine, I'll just see the Broadway show first and then I'll go back to the film. And after we finished the Broadway show, I really wanted to go back to the film just to see what the differences were, but I'm still yet to find it on anything.
Oh, well, lockdown is a good time to watch a movie.
It is, of course.
How did you, the jet lag for me, well, we didn't really have jet lag because we took a boat over, so each kind of nice. They added or took away an hour, so by the time we got there, it was New York time. But the jet lag on the way home was horrendous.
Really?
Jet lag.
Our flights worked out pretty nicely. So we flew out at like something like, I think it was like 7, 8, 9 in the morning to arrive there for 11 a.m. So we were like, look, we'll just like sleep the flight and then we'll just do the day full on.
Yeah.
So we did. And it worked out. I didn't sleep much on the flight, but it worked out, I think, because we were just so excited to be in New York. But we didn't really want to sleep. So we did that. So I didn't really have jet lag while I was there. Again, I think because we were just running on like the adrenaline of the fact that we were like in New York.
Exactly.
And then the way back, I think our flight was then at 10 p.m. to get to like England at 10 a.m. the next day. And I'm pretty sure I just went home and slept. Like, so, I mean, I wasted a day when I got back, but it was fine. It meant that I wasn't too jet lagged. Yeah.
No, that's not bad. So what would you say is your favorite blog post you've ever written?
Oh, that's a good question.
You have one? You have a few?
I'd say I probably have a few, but I'm trying to think, what would they be? I think the first time, I think about 3 years ago, I wrote about like what it was like for me kind of growing up Black in England. And that was a big thing for me because until then, I don't think I'd ever written anything that was like remotely political on my blog. I mean, I'd written a piece about like why you should vote, but that's like not really on the same scale. Yeah. But yeah, that was a big thing for me, and I was really nervous posting that because like, I mean, it's great, like we're having these conversations now, and like the conversations have always been being had, but just not on the scale they're at right now. But like, it was the first time I'd really spoken about it publicly, and I was really worried because it wasn't really a thing anyone around me was speaking about. So that was a big one for me. Yeah, I'd say that's the one that sticks in my head. I'd say about a year ago, I'd say I like properly found my voice with my blog and stuff, and I've quite liked everything I've been like producing since then. But that would be a big one that stands out. Yeah. Do you have a favorite?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. Probably most of my travel series, wherever I've been, I really like looking back on them. And just like remembering what I've actually done, because often I forget. But
Me too.
I'll probably say travel. But yeah, I mean, 2020 has been a big year. Obviously for the Black Lives Matter movement, and I mean, being a non-Black person, I think that I can see that topics have been spoken about, but there's still a long way to go. Especially as we both live in the UK. I think that it definitely still affects us here, and sometimes that's not spoken about because people think, the UK, we're a lot more polite and we don't necessarily say things face to face, but we do it on a micro scale, and it's not that big of a problem here, and it is kind of because it's done in a more polite way, I would say, and sometimes polite. So yeah, I definitely think I have learned a lot this year, and also I've changed kind of like daily habits, like where I shop, and just a bit more kind of like mindful about my general life and how it affects people. I think I've always, growing up obviously Chinese and my parents and all my family English, I think I've always been a mindful person anyway, because I'm from a different culture to what they're from. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm Chinese in like any form apart from my looks, because I've kind of been brought up kind of in an English way, I'd guess. But yeah, I think it's interesting to see kind of what creatives people come up with. People have done podcasts on it, they've done videos, and it's good to see a lot of people are rallying around and kind of like talking about it, and like amplifying Black voices. So yeah, I think that's been really, from my point of view, it's been really interesting to see what creative ways people have come up with. It's been a big year, and hopefully we see the back end of COVID soon and we can do normal things.
Yes, let's hope.
Yeah, what's your first thing that you want to do kind of when COVID ends, like really ends, I mean?
Yeah, I'd say when it's properly ended, I want to get on a plane and I want to go anywhere at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like the biggest first world problem in the world, so I haven't been like crying about it or anything, but I do really miss like traveling. I've got, hopefully, if like we're not on lockdown, like a staycation planned with a couple of friends.
Oh, very nice.
In like January, February time, so that should be good. And I have quite enjoyed like exploring locally a lot more. But I do really miss being abroad. I want to go somewhere. I'm not fussed about where at this point. At the
No,
moment, because we're in the middle of winter, I want it to be somewhere hot. But apart from that,
that's true. Did you not travel in between the lockdowns then? You stayed
no.
away?
I stayed in the UK. I wasn't sure how I felt about getting on a plane yet. Like
No.
I wasn't too fussed about being in another country because, like, if we're being honest, the UK hasn't handled everything great whatsoever. So I was like, there are so many countries that have handled it better than we have. It was mainly just the being on the plane that stressed me out.
Yeah, I think
Um,
same for me. I think wearing, well, I sometimes I have to go into work and wear a mask on the tube, and that's not great. But sitting on
mm,
a plane for 4 hours and wearing a mask doesn't appeal to me.
yeah.
Do you have any like places you definitely want to go as soon as like lockdown ends?
As soon as lockdown ends, I don't know. Me and my friends wanted to do Barcelona at some point, like just as like a nice European fun trip. So I'd love to do that. I have like big places again that are like bucket list places, but those are more like saving and planning than a quick getaway.
Yeah.
It's probably just like places hot and European that I can get to.
Yeah, I think at the moment we're missing a bit of heat. Um,
Yeah.
so do you mostly go like traveling with like friends and family, or do you tend to go solo?
I've never been solo traveling. It's on my list. I know you went solo traveling recently, didn't you?
Yeah.
How was that?
It was good. I mean, I went semi solo traveling last year to Cambodia. It was with kind of a group tour, but I didn't.
Oh yeah, but that's pretty much solo traveling though.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of scary because I was so far away from home, and then this time was only in the Cotswolds. It's like an hour and a half away. It's not that far away from home, but it was nice. I think it's nice to kind of have your own itinerary and do things when you want to do. That's quite nice, and spend as much or as little as you want. So I think the flexibility of it is really nice, but it's definitely something I want to do more of.
Mm,
I'd like to probably go solo traveling, maybe to like Japan or something.
wow.
Yeah, I mean, well, Japan's quite safe anyway, so I'd be quite
Yeah.
comfortable going there. But yeah, it's definitely more on my list next year, hopefully. So we will see.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I've never solo traveled. It's always been with friends or family, and I do want to do it at least once. I'm quite good by myself. Like I'm really good at just being alone, like being by myself.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not one of those people that needs to be around somebody else all the time, but I feel like traveling solo is like a whole different ball game. I'd love to see how I deal with it.
yeah, it's definitely throws some curveballs at you sometimes. So do you
Yeah.
have siblings or you're an only child?
I have a sister. I have a younger sister. We're 4.5 years apart. So, and yeah, she's really sweet. We get along really well. I think I was really lucky. Like lockdown wise, we pretty much just annoyed each other the whole time, which was a fun way to be. It's great. I always have someone to hang out with.
Oh, no, that's good fun. And is your sister interested into like in like influencing, or is she not really interested in that side of things?
She's not big on influencing necessarily. She really helped me out at the beginning because she was, I mean, I'd say now I'm more into it than she is, but she was really into photography when I first started out. So it was really nice. Like she had a DSLR. It was like very easy to be like, hey, can you come take a picture of me,
Yeah.
please? but but yeah, so she's really like artsy. Out of the two of us, she's definitely more creative. And she went to like an art school. She's like, yeah, she's really into like digital drawings and designs and like graphics and stuff.
Yeah.
So she's looking to go into that. So it's kind of similar but not the same. Like very like different sides of it, I guess.
Yeah. So your sister like wouldn't have a channel or a blog or anything?
She's not very big on like attention. So I feel like no. Like she won't let me. I like to credit people when they take photos of me. She refuses to let me credit her because she doesn't want people to find her. She has an art account, but it's like faceless. Like she's interested in growing that, but like not as her. She likes to be the behind the scenes person,
Yeah.
which is very fair.
No, that's completely fair. Have you been watching I'm a Celebrity?
I haven't. I'm debating it. I tend to stay away from reality TV only because I have a really addictive personality, and once I start something, I have to like I become obsessed with it. Like I wasn't a Love Island person until I watched one episode with my flatmates in the first year of uni, and ever since I've had to watch like every season from start to finish.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I mean, the first time I watched Love Island was the Love Island Winter. And yeah, before then I was like, no, I'm never gonna watch Love Island. Crash, you know, this type of thing. And then I watched it, I was like, oh my god, I can see why people are addicted to this.
It's so addictive.
Yeah.
And I feel really bad, but like you get so into it.
Yeah, that is true. So what, apart from kind of like reality TV shows that you get addicted to if you like them, what other things do you like to watch?
Oh, I'm like a serial binge watcher. I love fluffy things. Like, I'm such a sitcom person. I think I've rewatched New Girl like twice during lockdown. I've watched all the like classics, like ooh, I love a teen drama as well. They're awful and they're so badly written, but they're like amazing. They're so easy to watch, and it's one of those things that's fun to hate. Like, I love a Riverdale, I love a Gossip Girl. Like, I things that
it was good.
Yeah, Gossip Girl was fun. What else? What have I watched recently? I feel like it's hard because nothing's really been coming out. Oh, I'm really into This Is Us. Have you watched This Is Us?
No.
It's brilliant. The first episode's a bit confusing until it's one of those things that makes sense eventually, but it's like I tend to love trashy things because they're just easy and fun, and I don't think everything has to be like serious and hard hitting. But like This Is Us is like such a brilliant, well written show. Like, it touches on so many important things, and it's really emotional. I would recommend it to anyone. It's like on Amazon Prime.
Amazon, isn't it?
Yeah, Amazon Prime. So good. Like, amazing.
No, I've actually heard good things about that. So yeah, I mean, I think at the moment I find that because I'm watching so much stuff, I just don't have room to watch new stuff at the moment.
Oh yeah.
Things.
I've had that too. Lockdown, I think, was just a series of me rewatching things I've seen a million times. And I think it's like a comfort thing. It's just nice being able to like watch something you know that you don't have to think about.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way.
Ooh.
So your job, you do project management.
Yes.
When you kind of like had your interview and stuff, did you bring up that you have a blog and a podcast, or did you put that to one side?
I did, mainly because I don't think I mean, it was one of those things where like I knew I could do the job. Like, when I read the job spec, I was like, yeah, I could do this. But it was kind of, so when I graduated, so I have an English Lit and philosophy degree. So when I graduated, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And my goal was that I was just going to spend a year doing anything to make money. And then I would figure it out after that year. Like, I'd give myself some time to just readjust because uni was a lot. So I was like working in a coffee shop, and then COVID hit in March, and I was like, oh, that's over now. Guess it's time to look at full-time work. And I decided I wanted to go into like marketing, social media, all that kind of thing. And I was applying for loads of entry-level positions, not really getting anywhere. And then there was this one position that wasn't an entry-level position and like wanted 2 years of experience. And I looked at the job spec and I was like, well, I can do this job. Yeah. I don't have the experience for this job, but I can do it. So I had to kind of use my blog as my whole like cover letter CV was me being like, look, I've never worked in a traditional marketing job.
Yeah.
And like, I don't have a marketing degree, but I've done this for 4 years and I've like grown this myself. Please think of it as like experience. And it worked. So I guess it's worth bringing up if you know how to like spin it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it is, you know, it's valid experience because we do so much stuff. You know, we have to content create, we have to shoot photos and videos, we have to write it, we have to upload it, we have to share it on social media. You know, we do so much stuff that in a real marketing job you can use aspects from them, you know, in your day-to-day job.
100%.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, my advice to anyone who has a blog or a YouTube channel is definitely use that in your kind of like CV or when you're going to a job interview, because people, you know, are wowed by it. Really,
they are. I genuinely, like, from my interview, do not think I would have got this job without it. Like, it's 100% the thing that got me my job right now.
Yeah,
which is
my job.
so weird to think about. Like, definitely like put that thing on your CV, show people you've got that experience, because it is such valid experience.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is a bit awkward to start with because they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, watch your videos, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
what did you find? I've read your blog and things like that. But once they see it and they see how much hard work you put into it, you definitely, you know, kind of come above a lot of other people who are candidates. But I mean, congratulations, getting a job during this whole pandemic is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I still am really shocked by it. Like it wasn't what I was expecting, because as I said, my plan was after a year to figure out what I was doing. And then when COVID hit, I was like, well, it was kind of this like double-edged sword where I was like, it's I have the time to look for a job now, but also we're in the middle of a pandemic and everyone's getting rid of people. Like, how am I finding a job?
And how
It's so
have you
weird.
found it? I mean, it's slightly different to university. So how have you found like being in a normal corporate job?
It's interesting. I think it got to the point, because there was a stage at uni, I think you get it just being in the online world in general. You kind of, the online world, especially Twitter, is very anti 9 to 5s, and you kind of get it in your head that it's like, oh no, you don't want a 9 to 5, you want to hustle and you want to like be your own boss and you want to go through all of that. But like by the end of like from this last year of kind of working part-time in a cafe and like working with my blog, and then having the pandemic hit and having like no job security whatsoever, it got to the point where I was like, actually, I do want a 9 to 5. Like, I do want to be able to go in, do my work, leave, and that's it. That's done for the day, and I'm getting paid for that. And I've adjusted to 9 to 5 life really well. I think I really enjoy it. Like, I like it gives me the routine I need. I feel like I'm more structured with my blog than I ever have been before, because I have something to like build my days around.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I feel the same way. I used to work in a cafe like yourself for almost 2 years. And I think the one thing that I really, really liked about working in a 9 to 5 was having the weekends off.
Oh yeah, that was a massive thing for me. I used to be the annoying friend that was like, yeah, but can we do like during the day on like a random weekday, can't you just like use your annual leave? Because I would be working like every single weekend without fail.
Yeah, I think when I worked in a coffee shop, it was like, in a way, it was very antisocial because I couldn't see my friends on the weekend because, you know, I was working, and I couldn't see them in the week unless it was kind of in the evening because they were working.
Yeah. And you'd always have like 2 random days off during the week, so you'd never actually be able to. And like with shift work in general, it's so hard to plan your life because you don't know when you'll be working in a month's time.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think the only kind of good side to that I would say is that if I had a random day off in the week, if I went to the post office, there'd be no queue. Whereas if you go to the post office now on a Saturday, the queue is huge.
Yeah, I miss being able to shop like during the week, or to be able to like go to central London on like a random weekday and have it not be like weekend level busy.
Exactly. Yeah. Crazy. I mean, you live whereabouts do you live?
I live in southeast London. It takes me about like 20 minutes to get to central, so it's not
you live
not
in
bad.
London as well, and I live in West London. And I mean, you know, I think it's still quite quiet. It's here on the weekends because obviously people travel into London, but yeah, it's pretty empty. Like, you know, if you go into like Oxford Circus, Piccadilly during the week, it is empty. Crazy. And the tubes are quite empty as well, which is quite nice actually, because the worst thing is getting on the tube in the heat in the summer and it just be
awful. That's one thing. I mean, I'm quite lucky because I can walk to work, but
it's really nice. I'm jealous.
But like before, like I just rush hour I completely forgot was a thing until I went back to a 9 to 5. I mean, I walk, but like seeing the traffic, and they're like, oh yeah, everybody travels during these like 2 hours.
Yeah, that is true. But I think maybe like after COVID has finished, I think maybe the normal 9 to 5 might kind of change a bit. If people, I think a lot more people might do flexi hours and work from home.
Yeah.
You know, it just depends really. I mean, it depends how flexible your company is.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because a lot of these jobs have kind of shown that working from home is a very valid method of work.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, lots of other countries are very kind of like, you know, we work from home or we do flexi hours and stuff. And I think it is kind of like a British way, is like, it's very like rigid, like 9 to 5 in
Yeah.
the office. So no, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. You are my first guest, so
That's so exciting. Yeah. This has been really fun. It's been nice to have like a talk about this kind of stuff.
yeah, I mean, I kind of, that's what I thought. It's you know, you have kind of your general podcasts that talk about kind of like girl problems, guy problems, families, and everything in between. And I thought it'd be nice to have one where it talks about someone's channel or YouTube, same thing, or blog, and kind of just a bit about themselves, really. So that's why I decided to do it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, I'm actually really excited to listen to it, because I think it's very like cool, because it's such a, in a way, like a lonely thing to do, because you kind of, it's just you doing this thing by yourself. And as much as you see other people like show parts of their day on Instagram stories and stuff, it'd be nice to like listen to how other people run things and how they work it around their lives. I'm very excited to listen, basically.
Yeah. No, I completely feel that it's a lot more lonely than people think it is. I think, you know, when people kind of show on Instagram stories, I'm going to this restaurant, I'm going to this event and that event, you know, in between it can be very lonely if you're just like editing or writing a blog post. And even if, you know, it's slightly different if you have a partner or a friend that you live with who does the same thing. But I mean, my mum is like the worst with technology, so she always asks me to help her out. So yeah, it can definitely be a bit lonely sometimes, especially at the moment where we can't meet other bloggers or influencers in person. So yeah, it's nice to have like this kind of like semi like face-to-face interaction.
Yeah, this is fun.
So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.